Namaste, yogis. Welcome to Dhyana Yoga. I'm John, and tonight I'm making some kitchari. This is a great, little bean dish, a lentil dish that's really well balanced in all of its flavors. It actually has all 6 of the Ayurvedic flavors, and it's just delicious. It's great to use if you're going on a cleanse or something like that. It keeps you nourished. But anyway, let's get started. All right, so first. I started out with a few things. I've roasted some spices. I got black pepper, coriander, some cinnamon bark, some nutmeg, coriander, cardamom, anise, clove, and fennel. Right, so I roasted them in the oven, maybe 10, 15 minutes, kind of high. I got it nice and hot, just until everything kind of opened up. You start to smell all of those really wonderful flavors of the spices. So I've got those all roasted up, and I'm going to actually grind these up real quick. All right, if you have a spice grinder, I suggest using, roasting your own spices. But if you don't, it's not a big deal. You can always use the powdered version of all of these spices. All right, so let me just get these spices really ground up. We're going to use these in a little bit. I've actually begun heating this up. Let me turn this back on. So I've actually begun heating up some coconut oil. Depending on the aromatics you use, that determines pretty much the amount of oil you need. If you don't have coconut oil, not a big deal. You can use olive oil. You could use avocado oil is really popular these days and super yummy. All right, so I have a few other ingredients I do want to get to before I start cooking. Everything in the way that this is cooked, there's a method to the way that everything is kind of presented into the dish, they should certainly be noted. So over here, I've got Asafoetida, also known as hing. It's like it's a root of a plant that has the flavor of like leek. It tastes like a little bit like leek, but it's a powder. Mustard seed, cumin seed, and I've got some curry leaves here as well. Curry leaves, you can't come across them too easily. You can kind of use bay leaf, but it really doesn't have the same flavor. If you can get to an Indian supermarket or something like that, you can definitely find curry leaves. They've got a really wonderful kind of pungent flavor to them. Now on this side, I've got some turmeric. This is some roasted and ground coriander. I'll use plenty of that in a bit. I got some chili powder as well, a date. I got the grains. Rice, just a little bit, half cup rice. I've got about a pound of red lentils, just about a quarter cup, probably not even a quarter cup of mung dal. So it's really not that much. I like my kitchari a little bit more on the soupy side of things. All right, so let me finish chopping up these aromatics before I officially get started. All right, so I got about a cup or so of onion. I used a bit of long hots. I'm Italian, so I like to use long hots. My wife, on the other hand, she's Mexican, so I'll add a jalapeno in every once in a while. Also, I got about 2 tablespoons of chopped ginger. And about a cup and a half of celery. I like celery personally. I'm also adding in some carrots. So I know this is probably done more in the French style of cooking. It's more like French cuisine. But truthfully, I love it. This is I trained in classical French cuisine, so it's a little bit easier. It pulls out a lot of really wonderful flavors and it adds the element of more vegetables to your traditional kitchari. So. But of course, kitchari can be made in pretty much anything you kind of like. Just basically using the same kind of method. Really getting the spices involved. That's really the main thing. All right, so we're going to begin. This oil is getting nice and hot at this point. I want to add some mustard seed, about a tablespoon, I'm going to say. And you'll hear those start to pop. All right, I'm going to add cumin, about a tablespoon or so. I love cumin. Again, I'm going to pour these in. I'm going to wait till these things pop up a little bit. I'm using a crock pot. Don't have a crock pot, not a big deal. Just use a regular pot, same thing. It's probably on a medium-high heat. Adding a few dashes of Asafoetida, and those flavors. You can just start to hear all those flavors, or rather, you can hear them. You can smell them too, for sure. All right. So after those are nice and hot, we're going to start to pour the aromatics in to saute. Nothing like the use of ginger too. Oh, ginger, so good. I like to leave a few pieces kind of big, that ginger. And, you know, when you catch one after it's been well cooked, oh my gosh, it just brightens up your mouth. It's so good. All right, give this a quick stir. We'll get these things sauteed. You know, and using a crock pot's really great. You really want to be able to cook this down. This crock pot has a saute setting, so it's you know, it's kind of nice. Some of them don't. So again, you can always just use the stovetop. So we'll get this cooking real well. All right, now let's see. So I've got about 8 cups of water here. I might need more. You know, once we get the beans in, we'll determine how much I should add. I might not even add all of it, but I do want it to cover the beans well. Again, I like my Kitchari a little bit more on the soupy side of things, so something you can kind of just drink. It's just fantastic. All right, so after everything cooks, after the saute gets going, we will start to get some of these other spices involved as well. Matter of fact, I can throw in those curry leaves at this point. Again, really wonderful flavor from those curry leaves. I want them to be part of the saute. If I add them too early, sometimes they can burn. So, you know, you add them with the aromatics, and you're golden. Oh, and everything, it just smells so good. It smells so good. You know, it's really important to, you know, if you're learning to cook, or if you are a cook, you know, really kind of like honor the food that you're cooking. Really get involved with it. You know, there's nothing quite like, you know, refining knife technique or you know, really playing with the flavors. You know, this is the blend of spices that I really like most, something that I really enjoy. But, you know, there's certainly times I will work more towards the sweeter end of things, add a little bit more nutmeg, add a little bit more cardamom, and you know, and start to pull away from things like the pepper, the black pepper, the cumin. Although black pepper is really important to have. Using turmeric in anything, you gotta have a little bit of black pepper. It's something about the kind of reaction they have with one another. It really releases all the benefits of turmeric. So even like golden milk, if you're ever, I'll show you how to make golden milk sometime. But it's really delicious. It's a milk. It's mostly a, you know, sweet milk made with turmeric and honey. But there's a little bit of black pepper in there just to kind of really maximize the kind of effects of turmeric. This is like nearly done. I am going to add just a bit of salt in a few moments. You know, a little bit of salt will help kind of sweat, like they'll sweat out like the juices from the aromatics, and it just basically pulls a lot of flavor from them. This will become a major part of the broth. So all that flavor that gets pulled out of the aromatics will become infused into the broth of this dish. Oh my God, it smells so good. It smells so good. Some of the cumin's really coming through. I can still smell the Asafoetida. Fantastic. Asafoetida also something that's not all that easy to come by. But, you know, again, you know, like a Asian grocery store or something like that, you'll be able to find it. Okay, we're doing good. Let me add a little bit of salt. Only as much as I need right now, maybe a teaspoon, a little bit less. Right, we're just trying to pull those juices out. I'm not really trying to flavor the broth just yet. I'm not really trying to flavor the soup. I'm just trying to get those juices out, which I guess is called flavoring for sure. Okay. I'm going to put the lid on for just a little bit. Typically, it's nice to have the lid on for, you know, half an hour or something like that. You don't necessarily have to do that, especially with a crock pot. It's kind of the convenience of having a crock pot in that you can do things pretty darn quick with it. Okay. Yeah, so food, you know, it's so important in the Bhagavad Gita. You know, food comes up quite a bit. You know, there's these really wonderful quotes or passages from the Bhagavad Gita that deal with, you know, how you should really respect food. You know, if you have a certain level of respect, understanding all the effort that it took for you know, this food to get to your table, yeah, it's something that you really need to practice when cooking. Now you see, this is actually it's almost starting to lock. That's how hot we've got these aromatics. All right, I'm just gonna give it like just about a minute. Yeah, it's good stuff. Oh, Doug just got here. Hey, Doug. Yeah, turn your head over
Hi,
there.
John. Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, I got it kind of hooked up, you know. All right, this thing is actually the pressure's increased. I'm going to let it sit for that minute or so and just kind of sweat things out a little bit. Again, kind of the good stuff about having a crock pot. You can take care of it fast. Now, if you're doing it on the stovetop, you know, I would say you do want to, you know, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes covered on low. It'll really pull out all those juices. Oh, it's so good. So good. I actually have to release some steam to get this lid back open. Get this stuff out of the way. You can see how much pressure has built up in such a little bit of time. So the point is, you know, when you're eating or you are cooking, it's always, you know, it actually adds to the flavor of the food if you're completely respectful of the amount of effort that food had and all the people involved, all that work that it took to get to your table. You know, it's something that you need to keep reminding yourself. All too often we take things for granted, and certainly don't do so. I mean, there are so many people in the world that are really, you know, that are really suffering. So keep that in mind. Okay, looks like we're about ready. Okay, that's good. Oh yeah. Real good. Oh yeah. Very nice. Okay, so now we're gonna add some turmeric. All right, I'm gonna add, let's say about I like a good tablespoon, truthfully. You know, a lot of times it'll call for like a teaspoon. This is ground coriander. So I had taken a lot of those seeds, roasted them up, ground them down. So good. Some red hot chili powder, you know what I'm saying? Keep it spicy. I'll add more of that later on for sure. Give it a good mix. Yeah, it's like almost like you want to coat the vegetables. Now we're gonna. Okay, we're gonna take our mix of spices, our ground spices. So again, in here we've got coriander, we've got some clove and cardamom. Oh my God, it smells so good. Anise and black pepper. It's just tremendous. It really is. Oh, I wish you could smell this. Oh, it smells so good. So I'm gonna drop that in. Boom. Let's get those beans in. Again, about a pound of red lentils. About a quarter cup, rather half a cup of rice. You can use any rice. I'm using jasmine there. I like the kind of glossiness of the jasmine. Like that starch really pulls itself well into thickening up the broth. Now I'm going to just coat everything. I'm going to add a little bit extra black pepper, fresh ground black pepper. Again, that turmeric, I want to get things activated. Okay, not too much salt. You know, I mean, with lentils, it's pretty good. You can add salt early, but you know, if you're cooking other beans, or you're cooking chickpeas or cannellini beans, navy beans, you know, if you add salt too early, it actually it prevents the bean from really cooking through. And you can use it to your advantage in some dishes. Like if you want to keep the bean kind of like heartier, wholer, then use salt earlier on. But if you wanted like a nice soft tender bean, which is typically more desirable, you wait to add, you know, the salt in. I add that little bit of salt, like that quarter teaspoon of salt in here with the veggies, but that'll be fine. That'll kind of hold up those lentils a bit. Okay, so again, I got all 8 cups in here. I'm going to go with a little bit extra, just a bit extra. Another 2 cups. Okay, and finally, so a little bit of sweetness. I'm just going to throw a date in there. Dates, I love using dates in dishes. They're just fantastic. I just go right in there with that. With the pressure cooker, you can throw a whole date in there, no problem. It'll break itself down. Some of the skin will be left, but it'd be unnoticeable, really. You don't have dates, you can use a little bit of sugar. You know, the purer the better, of course. You could use jaggery, which is kind of more traditional. Things like pomegranate syrup. Oh, so good. So good. But yeah, anything that's really going to add some flavor to it. That's pomegranate molasses, actually. Oh, love it. Anyway, so I'm going to put the lid of the pressure cooker on. Okay, and basically, you know, this thing's wonderful. It's just got a bean function. Again, if you're on the stovetop, at this point, you would turn it down to, you know, like a low, not too low, of a setting. Put a lid on it. Let it just simmer for just, you know, you don't want it going real strong, real vigorous. You got to let it slow cook. All right, so, you know, low for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour even. You know, again, kind of depends on what kind of consistency you like your bean to be. The kind of denser, then the shorter the time. If you like it a little bit broken up, that's what I favor, then you let it sit, you know, good hour. Okay? So we've got some time for this. This will take probably another, I don't know, 12, 13 minutes maybe. Not too long, that's for sure. And then it'll be ready to go. So I'll be sure to add some photos, some more video to show you the finished product. I want to thank you so much for your time today. Namaste. Hey everybody, welcome back. So our kitchari is all but done. I've added about maybe 6 more cups of water to loosen it up a little bit. I just mixed in a little bit more salt to add some flavor. And what I'll probably end up doing is cooking this down maybe for another 15-20 minutes. So you can still see a lot of the rice is still pretty stable. The beans are just beginning to break apart. I'll end up cooking this down a little bit more, but this is ready to eat, ready to go. Incredibly flavorful. The smell of it is just wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed this video about Kitchari. Eat up. Peace.